A lot of times we're doing our homework and we start to really narrow down our communities that we are really interested in when we're talking about making that move out here to Hawaii and really trying to find that place that best fits our lifestyle. And maybe you've come down on either Kailua or Kaneohe, or you're trying to really figure out what's the difference because these communities are right next to each other. They're next door neighbors. How different can they really be? Well, they can actually be very different. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in this video. We're going to be talking about Kailua versus Kaneohe right now. What's going on? Welcome to the Living in Hawaii channel. If you're new here, this channel is all about what it's like to live in Hawaii, what it's like to eat, sleep, play, breathe, the up, down, left, and right, everything that you need to know about what it's like to really live in Hawaii. If you're not new here, hey, welcome on back. We appreciate you all being here, and it would be really helpful to everyone else if you hit the like button. It's going to help anybody else be able to find these helpful videos. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime that we put a new video out on this channel. And look, we talk to so many people every single day that are thinking about making that move. They're already on their way or they're already here, but everybody's trying to find that place that best fits their lifestyle. And you can reach out to, you can send us a text, give us a call, shoot us an email, however you're comfortable reaching out to us. We got your back when living in Hawaii. First, let's go ahead and identify where these areas are at, right? And maybe you've already done this, but we always like to give this context of, hey, these are the areas, this is the side of the island that you're looking on, and there's probably a good reason why, but let's identify where these areas are at and what is around them, the proximity to these other things. Let's go ahead and pull that up. So when talking about where Kailua and Kaneohe are, these are both on the windward side of the island. Now, this is called the windward side of the island, wind being that key word, because this side of the island gets all the trade winds coming down through the Pacific. All right. So the Pacific Ocean, right? The trade winds that are coming down, they're really, really hammering this side of the island. And it's good. That's a good thing. That's what you want because it's not as hot, right? And believe it or not, yes, some other areas are hotter than others. And when you talk to people who do live in the Kaneohe or Kailua side, and they're talking about like, hey, I don't run my AC that much because we're on the windward side, especially in the fall and winter months and coming into the spring. They may use it a little bit in the summer, but for the most part, people over there aren't pounding and running their ACs daily. But sidetrack there, let's go ahead and point out where these are. So first things first, on the more eastern side, right, you can see Kailua. So Kailua over there, and Kailua's zip code is 96734. So if you're looking at homes and you want to see homes only in Kailua, go to either our website, because we are real estate agents. You can go to our website, or you can go to whatever home search website you'd like, and you can put in 96734, and you will only see homes in Kailua. Now, like we said, they're next door neighbors, essentially divided by the H3 in a way, which is that highway right there that's going to run you up through the tunnel, right, in the mountains, and then bring you, and you can see that yellow line that says H3 takes you all the way to MCBH. Maybe you're in the Marines or the Navy, but that's Marine Corps Base, Hawaii. So not necessarily like the actual divider, but H3 kind of, for the image, for the purpose of this image, we're going to use that as our divider. And then to the left or western side of the H3, you can see Kaneohe. All right. So the word Kaneohe right there, and Kaneohe's zip code, again, for your home search, if you want to see homes in Kaneohe, which we'll talk about later, but Kaneohe 96744 is going to be the zip code for Kaneohe, right? You can put both of those in, you can put one of those in, and you can start comparing and contrasting homes on each side and seeing, you know, what they really have to offer, the price differences, the ages of the homes, HOAs, those types of things. But that right there is going to be where both of these areas are located. So literally next door neighbors. So that's where these areas are located. That's going to give you context in reference to what side of the island they're on. We talked about it being windward, right? So the weather actually is just completely different over there too, compared to the west side and Ewa Beach and Kapolei areas where you got the Ewa Plain, and even a little bit up on like North Shore, actually more so Haleiwa, right? So those are where Kaneohe and Kailua are. Now let's start talking about the different things that these areas have to offer. We're always trying to figure out really what the community feels like. Now you're watching this video, obviously you're not going to have a great feel because you never really have that feeling until you're there, boots on ground in the community, right? And so I'll do my best to describe it for you. But when we think about Kailua's vibe or feeling, community feeling versus Kaneohe's vibe, here's really what you can expect to feel and see while you're there. Now, let's start with Kailua. Kailua is a very tourist-heavy community and city. You do get a lot of tourists that go to Kailua because you got Kailua Beach, you got Lani Kai, you got Lani Kai Pillbox hike. You got, a tons of different shopping things over there. And what the vibe in the community really feels like in Kailua is really a small town kind of Southern California vibe. Is what is really comparable to, especially from, I've been down to San Diego and the communities and stuff down there. A lot of like the local boutique stores and the mom and pop stores aligning the streets, walking down the streets, and you just see a lot of them, the mom and pop restaurants, all that type of stuff. So it really has a more Southern California hometown kind of vibe. But when it comes to like big box stores, Kailua does have Target and some other things. We're going to get into that. But that's really the vibe in Kailua. Now, when we're talking about shifting over to Kaneohe, Kaneohe has more of a local home feel, like local island feel than, let's say, Kailua. And what I'm trying to make sense of that really is the style of Kaneohe not really being very tourist heavy. So we're not really doing much in Kaneohe to cater to tourists or to make it more tourist friendly. It's more of like a local area where you're not going to have all that tourism. So a little bit different style, right, as far as the vibe goes. And like I was just saying, Southern California vibe versus like local Hawaii vibe is what you're really going to see when we're talking about the differences in these two areas and really being there and getting that feeling. When it comes to amenities in Kailua, there is a ton to offer, but it's not necessarily got the same things as Kaneohe, right? A lot of these things are not templated. They're not like the same thing over and over. These two next door neighbors. So yes, if you're living in one, you're going to have pretty close proximity to the other, but maybe you want something in walking distance or you want like that quick drive. And so it would start off in Kailua. Man, I get these confused all the time. Kaneohe, Kailua. Kailua, all right, has, like we talked about, as far as big box stores go, you do have Target, you do have Whole Foods. There is a shopping center that's pretty nice. There's a UFC gym over there too. Like I said, Whole Foods. There's a Long's Drugs. And this is one of the prime shopping centers. There's a Foodland nearby, and there's a really nice spot to eat. But these are like the big box stores. Now, we already kind of talked about some of these when we were talking about the vibe, and then a lot of the boutique stores. And of course, always please shop local. If we have the choice, shop local, support local businesses, keep the money in Hawaii kind of thing, right? Versus the big corporate stores. But hey, if you're a Target lover, hey, we get that too, right? So, I mean, that's like my wife's happy place. I get it. Right. But if you can support local, please do, especially when you're walking around like Kailua and like this little surf shops over there. Actually, one of my favorite surf shops on the island is over there in Kailua. You got the old bowling alley, and then like right around the corner where Boots and Kimos used to be. If you watch the vlog tour, Ridge and I out in Kailua, we stop over there. But yeah, one of my favorite surf shops is over there. Really cool surf shop. But anyway, there's tons of like local boutique stores and not a huge amount of big box stores in Kailua, but we already mentioned some of those. Let's talk about the amenities in Kaneohe. So what does Kaneohe have to offer? Well, Kaneohe actually has the Windward Mall, and Ridge and I also did a vlog tour around Kaneohe, and we stopped at the Windward Mall. Right. So Windward Mall is not necessarily like the most ecstatic mall. It's not pumping, right? There's not a ton of tourists that come here to go to Windward Mall. But it is a pretty nice mall. It's more of a quieter setting in a mall for a lot of reasons, especially just the vibe in Kaneohe. But even at the time that we were there, I think it was around like 10:30 or 11 in the morning. It was just more of the seniors shopping. It was just more quiet. They don't have a ton like happening there. There's some events that are held over there, but for the most part, like it's just more of a quieter setting mall. It's not like Ala Moana or some of these other ones, or Pearl Ridge. These two, Ala Moana and Pearl Ridge, are always popping. They always got something going on, right? Now, it does have Windward Mall. Outside of Windward Mall, there are local mom and pop shops, stores, restaurants, and boutiques over there in Kaneohe. Not near as much, and Kaneohe isn't necessarily as walkable, we'll say, or for instance, for getting around on your feet per se as Kailua, right? So for Kailua, you could easily go park at the beach, or you could park in one parking lot and then walk the city and just go check out everything, right? In Kaneohe, it's not nearly like that. It's actually a little bit more spread out too, but Kaneohe doesn't have necessarily like that walkability kind of thing where you can just cruise the streets and get to the next place, or really just experience like a small town or a downtown kind of thing. So Windward Mall is really the big spot. And Kaneohe is, like I said, it's more spread out. So when I was going to nursing school over there, I'm a real estate agent now, but when I was going to nursing school over there, HPU nursing was over there in Kaneohe, really at that border, right? So where the school is, you would make the left turn at the light, and then you'd be heading towards Kailua, like the border right there. So that's where the university was. And right across from there was a golf course. Okay. So really nice, beautiful golf course with the mountain setting in the background. If you like golf, I like golf. I'm not good at it. Go out there and cut the grass really, but that's about it. I just have fun doing it, right? But golf course is over there. And so like I was saying, it's just more spread out. And so Windward Mall really being like the hub, but there are restaurants and other smaller stores in Kaneohe. So you've heard a little bit about both of these communities already, but let's really think about like, okay, well, why do people choose Kaneohe, right, versus Kailua? Why are people choosing to live in Kaneohe? Maybe you're in the military and you are being stationed at Marine Corps Base Hawaii, or maybe you have a job in town and you're like, hey, I can just hit the Pali Highway or the Like and I can be in town pretty quickly, or I can take the H3, right? Maybe you have a job at the airport and you're like, I'm going to go live on the windward side of the island. I can be at the airport in 25 minutes, right? 30 minutes, depending on traffic. Not bad. Maybe I'll consider living over there, right? So proximity to work is always a thing. But why would people choose to live in Kaneohe versus Kailua? One of the main reasons why is tourist. All right, that's really one of the main reasons why. Not necessarily the vibe like we talked about. That is one of the reasons, which I'll get into. But yes, one of the main reasons why is tourist. And like I said, Kaneohe, not nearly as tourist heavy when it comes to looking at like why people go to Kailua and Kaneohe, which I already talked about, right? It's just not near as tourist heavy. And that's really one of the main reasons is people don't want to be in the thick of all the tourism, which then creates heavier traffic, right? Creates problems trying to get out of the city or in the city, these types of things, right? More people, a lot more happening, lots of things to be aware of. So that's why a lot of people would choose Kaneohe over Kailua, or at least one of the main reasons why a lot of people do. Not necessarily the home styles, which we're going to get into. They're pretty similar in home prices, but when it comes to affordability, we'll talk about that later, maybe more so in Kaneohe. But that's one of the main reasons why somebody would choose Kaneohe over Kailua. And why do some people choose Kailua over Kaneohe, right? So they don't mind the tourism, which we just talked about being one of those main reasons. They don't mind the tourism. So why would they live in Kailua? Honestly, Kailua it gets a lot of hype. It really does. It gets a lot of hype because of the beaches over there and the things to do. So when we're looking at it, right, okay, Kaneohe doesn't really have a beach. Actually, there's no beach in Kaneohe. You have to go more north shore, more north on the windward side up there, right, until you get into like Hauula area, where you can start hanging out on the beach. Kaneohe has the sandbar, which we're going to talk about in the outdoor activities. But when we're talking about beaches, a lot of people really see Kailua Beach or Lanikai Beach, and they want that access, right? And they get a lot of hype because of the outdoor activities over there. We're talking about the kite surfing and a lot of the other things, jet skis, whatever it is out there, dolphin tours, whatever you're doing on that side, right? That's why. So Kailua just really gets a lot of hype. And that's really what it is. They don't mind the tourism. It's just the hype of Kailua, right? And you're going to see it on all your Google searches, your YouTube searches, the high rankings that it has for all these things, right? And that's really what leads to it, is honestly just the hype. And, you have to really see it for yourself. Again, you can check out the vlog tour if you want to see more of it. The beaches are beautiful. The sand over there is probably some of the best sand on the island. It's like this powdered sugar feeling in your toes. It's really, really soft. It's beautiful over there, right? Can't beat it. Now, again, why do people live there? It's not necessarily the home prices, because it's pretty expensive over there. It's more so the access to these types of outdoor activities and amenities. We just already really kind of started alluding to it, but the outdoor activities in Kailua and what it has to offer, mainly being the beaches, right? We talked about Kailua Beach, Lanikai Beach. They're the same beach in essence, but when you're riding around the corner, they're not the same beach, because you do have to kind of like travel over a little bit. You'll see it and you'll be like, isn't this the same beach? No, not really. One is like you go into this parking lot and then that's Kailua Beach, and then you have to go up and around the bend and around the corner, and then you got to find street parking and stuff, which is a huge pain and can be just absolutely nuts in Kailua when you're trying to go to Lanikai. But when you can find parking and you can actually make it to Lanikai Beach, it's a pretty amazing beach, and I've already talked about that, the sand and everything. It's a pretty amazing beach, but those are like the two biggest ones. Now, when you're driving over there too, you're going to see a ton of people that have probably rented and they're pulling their board or their kayak, and you're going to see that. So that's, again, one of the other things you can do over there, right? Outdoor activities, getting in the water, right? So these people that are doing the kayaking, the paddle boarding, or the surfing, if there is any surf over there at the time, but the outdoor activities. And then you might see some people doing like kite surfing. It's actually pretty big over there because of the windward side. We already talked about that. But kite surfing, I always see somebody over there kite surfing. If you don't know what kite surfing is, it's basically like a sail on your surfboard where you're just letting the wind just take you and you're just cutting and ripping. But it's pretty cool. Now, again, sometimes that wind gets nuts, but we also see some parasailing and whatnot over there too. But the outdoor activities in Kailua is pretty crazy. And then one of the main hikes too that you can see if you're checking on Instagram and whatnot is Lanikai Pillbox hike. So it's this big pink pillbox, and there's more, but the main one that people go to when you're hiking up here. So you can go to this pillbox trail. When we call it pillbox, it's really like an old bunker from wartime. It got the term pillbox, right? But it's an old bunker from wartime, and these things are like pink and gray and spray painted and all this other stuff with tagged all over. It's pretty cool. But you're going to see these at the top of these mountains, and these have essentially become like destination hikes where people go and hike up there and take some pretty cool pictures. But Lanikai being the main one over on the Kailua side. Now let's kind of talk about Kaneohe. Kaneohe is not short of outdoor activities too. And now before I start this one, look, you do any and all hiking at your own risk. Ryan is not liable, and Ryan did not say go do these hikes. All right, you do all those at your own risk. That's my disclaimer. All right, but Kaneohe, tons of hiking. All right, tons and tons of hiking. Kaneohe has the Jurassic Park looking mountains, which are the Kolau Mountains, right? Jurassic Park looking mountains that you see in the movies. You're gonna be driving and you're just gonna be looking at them like, oh my God, that is amazing, right? So one of those old school ones, again, not telling you to do it, but you're probably gonna see it if you start doing your homework, is Stairway to Heaven, which there actually is stuff that happened where they're gonna be tearing it down because it's pretty dangerous hike. But there's multiple ways to get up there. I'm just saying, but I'm not promoting it by any means. But Stairway to Heaven is one of the initial ones you'll see when you're driving through H3. It's going to be on the right side. If you're coming into Kaneohe, it's going to be on the right side. You'll see stairs going up the mountains into the clouds. Now, there's a bunch of other hikes other than that one, which are pretty cool too. So if you're up, so the Pali Highway, if you're on the Pali Highway, this isn't necessarily considered Kaneohe, but it's on the way. Pali Highway, you got Lulumahu Falls, which is so to me, this is one of my favorite waterfall hikes because it's consistent. All right. I've been to most of them, almost all of them. And this is the one where I can come back time and time again. And I'm like, this waterfall is going to be pumping and it's going to be good. It's not going to be trickling down the rocks. At one time I went to Manoa. I did Manoa Falls, which becomes pretty popular, and you got to pay for parking and stuff over in Manoa Falls. But I went to Manoa Falls and it was like this little trickle down the rocks. It was kind of disappointing. So Lulumahu is one that's on the way to Kaneohe. Now, when you get further into Kaneohe, they got Waihe'e Falls or Holamana. That's a pretty good one too. Good little hike. And there's like a little stream and pond stuff on the way that some people hang out in. Pretty cool stuff there. And then if you're up in the Pali again, you got the Pali Puka, and there's just so many, right? And then there's really cool like photo, if you're one that's, doing this for the gram or whatever it is, there's really cool like photo spots and stuff like that in Kaneohe. Very green, all right? Very, very green. And one of the other things that I've kind of forgot to mention, but thankfully it hit my mind, was the sandbar. So we talked about Kaneohe not having any beaches, but Kaneohe does have the sandbar. And so what the sandbar is people will take their boat out to the sandbar, and the sandbar is this spot, and you can see it when you're driving in too. You can like look out in the bay, and you can look out in K Bay and you can see where it is. And the sandbar is this spot out in the ocean where the water is just really shallow and the sand is a lot higher, and people will pull out there on their boat and then throw out their floaties or their inner tubes and coolers and just hang out at the sandbar. And it's because it's shallow enough too, you can just stand there and hang out. It's pretty cool. Usually when it's good, it's like really, really calm, and the water is probably like waist high, depending on how tall you are, but it's usually about like waist high. So really, really cool. But both of these areas are like, they do not lack the outdoor activities, so can help be pretty cool to get your kids outside and do that type of stuff. Again, disclaimer, Ryan is not liable. Ryan did not say do any of this. Just giving you the information. Let's talk about the home styles in Kaneohe. We're going to compare home styles from Kaneohe to Kailua, and first we're going to do Kaneohe. We talked about Kaneohe having the more local vibe, all right, the more local island vibe, and that's due to a lot of the greenery, the access to, you can see the water, right? No beaches, but see the water, less tourists, those types of things. Now, when it comes to home styles, homes in Kaneohe are just a little bit older, okay? Just a little bit older in comparison to some of these other areas, especially on the other side of the island when we're talking about Ewa Kapolei, have the newer, more modern style homes. That's not to say that these homes haven't been updated and a lot of these homes are stuck in the 60s. That's not always the case, all right? Some of these homes have been beautifully updated and brought to life in 2021, 2022, all right? And they may be your style, your flavor, your taste, all right? So definitely worth looking at. And as you can see with the image that we have provided too, you can see there's a great variety and there's a wide variety when it comes to price range. So something, you know, being in the lower 588, right? There's one up there that's a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, little townhome or condo. And then you can see that we're going all the way up, you know, over 2 million if we're talking about a bigger home, closer to the water, has views of the water and those types of things. But in general, expect your average age of the home to be a little bit older. There are homes there from the 60s and 70s, but not all are just historic on the inside. They've been brought to life and updated. Now, other part of this too is, and this is for both sides too, but other part of this is homes up in the hills. So there's some areas in Kaneohe where you're going to be driving up some really steep hills and you're going to be seeing some really steep driveways, like really, really steep. It's kind of interesting to even drive up those. And if you have if you're driving a manual or a stick shift, I know not a lot of people do these days, but when you're driving like a manual or stick shift or a bigger car, just be careful trying to get it up these bigger steep hills. But you'll see some that, and these are beautiful homes. They have really amazing views, but you will see some of these and just be careful when you're driving up there, but beautiful homes up on the hills in the Kaneohe side. Wanted to go ahead and provide you some data to make sure that you can see the figures here. A lot of people I've gotten some feedback. People really like when I show the data. So I wanted to make sure again that you can see it here. And as of June of 2022, and this is over the last 6 months, not 1 year, this is over the last 6 months, you can see right here with the zip code of 96744, all right, that the average sales price of a home has been 1.007 million, and that's been an increase over the last 6 months of 14%. All right, this is encompassing of both single family and condo townhomes. This isn't just single family homes and this isn't just condos. So you got to think, like we said in that picture, there's, you know, condo townhomes that are around that 550, 588 range. And then you've got beach homes that are up there for, you know, 2.3 million. So this is all encompassing of all of those styles of homes, locations and whatnot to give you that average price there of the 1.007 million for Kaneohe and 96744. All right, so we really broke down home styles in Kaneohe. Now let's take a look at Kailua. Now we're taking a look at some of these homes in Kailua and what can you really expect. Honestly, the homes don't really differ that much when it comes to Kailua versus Kaneohe. You got homes that are by the water, by the beach, and then you got homes up in the hills. You've also got a lot of older style homes. There is some newer townhome or condo communities over by like the Whole Foods and stuff. But as far as age of the homes, it's pretty similar as well. And like we said, not all of these are historic. A lot of these have been updated. You will find in certain areas or some areas, if you're thinking of looking around, like maybe Castle Hospital, which is over there in Kailua side, right? Some homes may be getting torn down because they are just old and then a brand new home is built. We've seen some of those over there too. And building a new home out here is not easy and it's pretty expensive. It's not easy to do because of supply chain issues and whatnot, right? Especially when we had that crazy like wood shortage several months ago. Weird stuff. But anyway, style of homes, as you can see on the image that we have provided, that some style of homes can be anywhere from, you know, the townhomes that are in the 400,000s on up to $30 million homes in Kailua. So things can be pretty nuts in 96734. But yeah, so that's some of the style of homes. Let's take a look at the data. Again, using that same image over the last 6 months, as of June 2022, the sales price average in Kailua of 96734. That's the gray line. All right. And you can see that again, condos and single family homes, right? And so we saw the $400,000 in the image and we saw the 30 million in that same image, right? So this is all encompassing and we're looking at 1.9 1.39+ million, all right, as your average sales price over the last 6 months. And that's a 32.6% increase. That is crazy. All right. That is huge. So when we're talking about appreciation and factors like that, even though the market is shifting at the time of this recording in July of 2022, that's still what's looking like as far as the average sales price. So one of the biggest things that you can see, and it's not necessarily the home styles, more so it's the prices. And so Kaneohe tends to be the more affordable side when it comes to when we're talking about comparing and contrasting Kaneohe and Kailua. Now, again, maybe you're in the military, right? Maybe you're going to be stationed at Marine Corps Base Hawaii. Maybe you're working at the airport and you're considering that commute, because proximity to work is always a big question and thing that we cover on our calls. But that's something that you might be considering. A lot of Marines or Navy that do get stationed in Marine Corps Base Hawaii tend to love living in Kailua, and will, especially if you're in 03, 04, buying a home and then renting out rooms and stuff like that to your soldiers or other military service members, whichever the case may be, and whatever your goals and priorities are. Those are things that we can talk about on our call, but those are what the homes in comparison and contrast of what they look like on those two sides. So are you going to live in Kaneohe or are you going to live in Kailua? Really, right? We laid it all out for you there, right? And then we can definitely talk more about this on our call. And that's exactly what we said in the beginning of this video. And I'm going to say it again, is you can definitely reach out if you're in the military, if you're in the Marines, the Navy, whichever branch, and you're making that move out here, you just got your orders. Or if you're not in the military and you're considering moving out here and you're weighing these two areas as options, you can reach out. We talk to people every single day and we absolutely love it. You can reach out too. You can shoot us a text, give us a call, send us an email, slide in the DMs, whichever way you're comfortable reaching out to us. We absolutely love it. Don't hesitate to do it. You can skip all that and you can use the Zoom link down in the description below if you want to go that route, whichever the case may be. If you made it this far and you haven't already hit the like button, please do so. It's going to help anybody else be able to find these helpful videos. Hit the subscribe button and that notification bell. That way you get notified anytime that we put a new video out on this channel. Tons of other videos. I mentioned that Kailua vlog tour. We're going to have all that and more popping up for you right now.